I'm here in this spectroscopy lab to show you how to align an extended cavity diode laser. Our extended cavity diode laser is very compact. It has a small laser diode spaced about 1 centimeter away from a diffraction grating. If we align that diffraction grating so that some of the laser light diffracts back into the laser diode, the wavelength that's selected by the grating will form a cavity with that laser diode that is stronger than the internal cavity of the laser diode, and it will force the laser diode to oscillate at that particular wavelength being selected by the diffraction grating. Now here you can see we have